Another major mass shooting happened over the holiday weekend here, actually on the holiday itself, by somebody who could go either way on the political spectrum, in a highly unlikely scenario, and in a state with some of the hardest gun laws in the country. So we'll talk just a bit about this, why this could be real, but why I ultimately don't buy this. So we'll go over what's going on here. In other news, a pair of Philadelphia police officers are also injured during a 4th of July fireworks celebration from shooting. So we'll talk just a bit about that. Macy Gray says to Piers Morgan, gender reassignment surgery doesn't make you a woman, thus whacking the beehive of people around the country who want to say that no, you have to be called a woman just because you said you're a woman. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. And you'll love to see it. Aging rockers quietly crawl back to Spotify after the Joe Rogan protest. It is going to be all this and more. Welcome to midterm season. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. I'm back. Thank you very much to KTZed and Britt and Stephen Ignoramus for coming on and carrying the show while I was in transit yesterday. It was quite a long trip, and I probably could have come by and taken the reins on the show, but by the time that they were all done, I had already had a couple hours into the trip, and at that point, I'm getting home at a somewhat decent hour. I am telling you right now, I barely woke up this morning. 12 hours in the vehicle. It takes a toll on you. You don't realize it, but it does take a toll on you. But I'm home. I am safe. I am here. I'm happy. This was good, especially to have the community that was built and be able to see the people on Saturday, but to just have that. I can't even describe how low key Sunday was, and I'm very thankful for that. I mean, on a Sunday here, I would have at one point had to drag myself up, get to the gym, do something else like that, and do work for Contemporary on Monday morning, get some stuff set up. Whereas this past Sunday rather, it's just, I sat down and I was done. It was over. So low key, so amazing. Felt great. And it felt great to go and do both sides of this. That's what I have to say on that. Just to go and do the hustle and the bustle to build a fire pit. That was fun. But then also to be able to wind down like that. I never get that at home. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Pretty happy about that. But the news stops for nobody. And we are back here with a couple of pretty big stories. And I'm going to take a little bit more time on this on the shooting in Akron, too, just to look at some of the reactions here and, juxtapose it against what we're seeing coming out of Highland Park. So definitely go in. Definitely thanks for coming back and checking us out yesterday. Thanks for coming back if you're new here because of yesterday, because of two different hosts that were out there. Welcome on in. I hope you enjoyed this as much, but let's get into it and let's get started. But before we do, make sure you guys go check out great programming such as the Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and the Porch Boys. There'll be new content coming that I'll be advertising. We won't have the website up and running yet, but it does look like we still have the true crime series coming from KTZed, which she does her homework. I actually was able to look over some of the notes as well because they were still up on her laptop when we set up Contemporary yesterday. So a lot of good work coming out of that, and it does look like there is something coming down the pipes with Britt of the Salt by Brit account as well, which will be welcome to join our Turn Some Pages network as soon as we get started, because we want to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and culture needs, whether it be comedy, whether it be religiosity, or whether it just be the news. We want to be your one-stop shop because we're going around and we're seeing most of the people making the decisions for your news and culture who wear suits that cost more than your house. I don't like that. I don't like the way that goes at all, because people like us, people like Britt, people like Katie, people like Steven, they've all had to make the same kind of decisions you've had to make, and people like Anderson Cooper, Brian Stelter, and Chris Cuomo have not. So who would you rather get your news and culture from? That's the big question there. But go check out all those people, all those programming. Follow them on their various social media, wherever you see fit. And let's get down into the news. Let's start back in with the finance. Starting off with the Dow, which is on the same chart as yesterday, but we're getting ready to open right now. We are at 31,097.26, which was a dip and then a rise again, but it does look like the futures are coming down. It looks like we had a little bit of a conversation over the weekend where I was possibly wrong. The preliminary numbers for the GDP are looking like they are worse than what I anticipated they could have been. And it's a possibility that we could get as low as 0.7% decrease in GDP, but as high as 1.3%. They're sitting right now saying 1% GDP, but on a measure that has a 0.3% margin of error either direction. So hey, we might see a growth in the GDP, but I don't think there's enough margin of error there for them to come back out and get as far as they need to go off of that. But we'll continue to watch that and see where that goes. Looking in at your Bitcoin. Let's bring that out to 5 days here. There is a fairly significant spike through the 4th of July, which is starting to falter itself back down. So, bringing us back down to 1942.10 US dollars. Over the 5 day, that's down 503 US dollars and 50 US cents, or 2.5% over the 5 day. Just over today, there's a $730 drop. So looks like we're getting ready to come back to a point where we can come back and buy the dip, because I do anticipate this is going to go back up. As I say with all stocks, ventures, lottery, and Bitcoin, never put more into the Bitcoin than you can ever afford, or then you can afford to lose, number one. And number two, don't hedge all your bets on this, because as Ron Helton likes to say, and this is not official financial advice, but as Mr. Helton likes to say, this is ones and zeros somewhere with nothing physical to come back and tangibly back it up. So if you do want to play with it, it's a very, very entertaining game to play, but, you know, with 20 bucks here and there, not with a remortgage on your house and your life savings. So that's what we see coming off of that. Let's see what the Gas Buddy has to say. Looks like it is 429 all across the Madison area. All the stations that we see off of here that are listed here, which is both in Sun Prairie, as we usually see a lower price in, but also across Madison proper. So it does look like we're seeing some relief. Now, there was some chatter over the weekend over the fact that the gas tax holiday went in. I have not seen any evidence of the fact that we are on a gas tax holiday right now. So this appears to be speculation as to what's coming from the Saudi deal, but regardless, we'll take it where we can get it, because it's incredibly, it eases us. It's a lot more comfort in a world where we are getting hammered left and right by all the other inflation that we see, but we'll continue to watch this and see where this goes. Let's grab one from IBD. Let's grab the archived one, because the advertisement isn't taking up the entire screen. From Investors Business Daily, Dow futures fall. Don't beat the bear market. BYD leaves Tesla in the dust. From Ed Carson. Dow futures fell sharply Tuesday morning, along with the S&P and the Nasdaq, signaling losses after a holiday weekend. A newly confirmed stock market rally quickly moved up to under pressure last week as the major indices sold off, despite Friday's afternoon's rebound. Don't feed the bear. This is not a good time to be making new buys. Investors should have little or no exposure. Instead, prepare for the next bull run. Northrop Grumman, McKesson, Centene, AstraZeneca, and Shockwave Medical are all holding up reasonably well. All have relative strength lines at 52-week or consolidation highs. Tesla reported second quarter deliveries of 254,695 EVs, slightly below views and down significantly versus quarter one. China EV and battery giant BYD reported June sales of 134.36, bringing quarter two sales to 355.21. Those results followed strong June deliveries from Li Auto, NIO, and XPeng. BYD is worth watching. Trading just above a buy point, Tesla stock is close to 2022 lows. There you go. Go invest what you have in Chinese stocks. That's what IBD wants you to do. Again, not official financial advice on my part. Let's see. NOC is on the IBD leaderboard. Li Auto, Centene, McKesson, and AZN are on the IBD 50. CNC and McKesson are also on the IBD Big Cap 20. On the futures, Dow futures fell 1.1% versus fair value. After rising modestly Monday night, S&P futures sank 1.15%, and the Nasdaq lost 1.4%. Exchanges were closed on Monday in observance of Independence Day, but other markets around the world were open. U.S. crude prices edged higher after gaining more than 2% on Monday. U.S. natural gas prices fell solidly. European natural gas prices continued to soar amid multiple supply disruptions. Russia will shut down its main Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline starting July 11, supposedly for maintenance. We'll continue to watch that and see where that goes. Copper futures sank 3%, reflecting recession concerns. The 10-year yield fell 1 basis point to 2.88% after hitting 3% overnight. The euro hit a 20-year low versus the dollar. President Biden may roll back some U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods this week as a means of cooling inflation, according to multiple reports. Yeah, anything but putting the American people to work. Hey, let's get some tariffs out there and get some more cheap Chinese crap on the market, where people don't have a job to go and buy it. Good job! China placed 1.7 million people under lockdown in the Anhui province, as the government reported 300 new cases on Monday. Anhui is west of the Shanghai and east of Wuhan. The provincial capital, Hefei, is where NIO EVs are made. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. That's going to be interesting because that's going to play very, very hard into the EV market, which is a competitive market right now. It's going to put Tesla back up on the map. It's going to make BYD the winner. Or at least it's going to make NIO harder to compete in the area. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what we go with that. A lot of stuff moving and shaking this way, so we'll go with that. From Seeking Alpha. S&P, Nasdaq, Dow Jones futures dip as yield curve inverts again. This is from Kim Khan. Stock index futures point to a slightly lower opening Tuesday as investors brace for what could be a stormy second half for markets. The S&P, the Nasdaq, and Dow are lower. Nouriel Rubini says the combination of stagflation and a financial crisis could mean the crash of 50% for equities, meaning the bond market is signaling a recession, something the U.S. could already be facing if quarter two GDP contracts. Although the NBER may have something to say about that as well. The 2-year and the 10-year Treasury yields curve is bouncing around inversion territory. The 10-year is down 1 basis point to 2.89%, while the 2-year is up 5 basis points to 2.9. The US dollar continues to gain ground, hitting a 20-year high against the euro, which fell below 103. On the economic calendar, May factory orders are due shortly after the start of trading. Economists predict a 0.5% gain, compared with a 0.3% rise in April. The U.S. is still a relatively important producer of goods, and these numbers are expected to show strength, UBS chief economist Paul Donovan wrote. Supply continues to grow, even as demand for goods continues to slow. Where? Looking at inflation, it was reported by the Dow yesterday that the president could ease some tariffs on Chinese imports soon, with the article saying a decision could be announced last week, Deutsche Bank's Jim Reed says, as discussed in the article. And other media reports this has apparently been a divisive issue inside the admin, since although their removal could help ease inflation, it could also give up leverage in obtaining concessions with China, so there's a geopolitical as well as economic factors at play here. Well, good luck. Because I think this is going to backfire on you just the way that everything else you've done with the economy has at this point. Let's get into the main news of the day, and we know what the main news is going to be. You know what the main news is going to be. Bacteria on Mars with a long enough telescope know what the main news of the day is going to be from the day. We are going to start with the Daily Wire. Shooting sends 4th of July parade into chaos. At least 6 confirmed dead, dozens hospitalized. From Virginia Kruta. At least 6 people are confirmed dead and 24 more are hospitalized after shooting disrupted a 4th of July parade near Highland Park, just outside Chicago on Monday, causing parade goers to scatter and police to close off the area. The shooting began shortly after the parade got underway and multiple people were reportedly struck. A Chicago Sun-Times reporter saw several bloodied bodies covered with blankets and other people who were visibly wounded on the scene. Mass shooting, Highland Park emergency crews on scene of a shooting with numerous victims near Central Avenue and 2nd Street in downtown Highland Park. Reports of non-gunshot victims, the Lake and McHenry County Scanner account tweeted. According to law enforcement, the suspect at large is a white male, 18 to 20. Sergeant Chris Covelli for the Lake County Sheriff's Office said during a briefing that the suspect was shooting from a rooftop and is still considered to be armed and dangerous, but he was not a Korean. According to a report from the Sun-Times, the Highland Park 4th of July parade ended in panic when shots were fired around 10 minutes after the parade kicked off at 10 a.m. on Monday, striking an unknown number of parade goers and sending hundreds of people running for safety. I heard 20 to 25 shots, which were in rapid succession, so I couldn't have been a handgun or a shotgun. Miles Zaremski, a Highland Park resident and witness to the shooting, told the Sun-Times. Zaremski also said that among the wounded, he had seen a woman covered with blood. She did not survive. Let's put a pin in this right here. Everybody disperse, please, police warned everyone. It's not safe to be here. We're assisting the Highland Park Police with a shooting in the area of Independence Day Parade route, said Lake County Sheriff's Department tweeted. Stay out of the area. Allow law enforcement and first responders to do their work. Congressman Brad Schneider was at the parade start, but was able to take cover when the shooting began. Today, a shooter struck in Highland Park during the Independence Day Parade. My campaign team and I were gathering at the start of the parade when the shooting started, Schneider tweeted. My team and I are safe and secure. We are monitoring the situation closely and in touch with the mayor. Hearing of loss in life and others injured, my condolences to the family and loved ones. My prayers for the injured and my community, and my commitment to do everything I can to make our children, our towns, our nation safer. Enough is enough. So, this is Highland Park. Excuse me. This is Chicago suburb, obviously, as they had mentioned. Believe this is McHenry County, so this is far to the northwest, bordering on some rural areas. McHenry itself, McHenry proper, is not that far from where I live. But McHenry County goes all the way back in towards Lake County, which is obviously up against the lake. State line, of course. Let me get the map up here. Alright, I might actually have this wrong. Why is McHenry County into this? Yeah, because McHenry County is all the way out here, and where we're talking about is here, actually in Lake County, so... I thought that sounded wrong. But regardless, yeah, we're coming in towards Chicago from this area, towards Chicago proper, when we're to Highland Park. And again, in a place where it's very, very difficult to get and carry a gun outside. This is, as usual, one of the places with some of the strictest gun laws in the country. And already, the reason that I titled the episode that we're doing here right now, that I already don't buy this, is because the very, very, very first thing that I saw about this, before I started looking into anything else, was Twitter. I got home yesterday, safe and sound, started looking, started dinner, started getting dinner ready. Pizza from the Quick Trip, by the way. Delicious. But I started getting all that ready, and I started looking while it was baking into what was going on Twitter when I got back and get the notifications. I knew that I had a few from while I was up on the road. And I started to see this, and the very first thing was people saying that he was a MAGA person. And the argument was that we found him. We found pictures of him at a Trump rally. We found pictures of him wrapped in a Trump flag, but also, hey, look at this tattoo he has on his hand. This is a socialist tattoo. Hey, we found pictures of this guy in Antifa gear. We found this guy saying that he was MK Ultra'd, and he was a leftist. Everything around this, just from the very, very first instances of me figuring this back out, number one, as I said, strict gun laws, stringent gun laws. But with a political ideology that could literally go either direction at this point. I'm leaning more towards left because of the tattoo, like the actual permanent body marking that he has on his body for socialism. But also readily accessible pictures of him with the MAGA flag. And all that I saw was something that looks like, and possibly by design, something to keep us back at each other's throats again, while we sit back and have the gun debate again. And this time it's happening in a white neighborhood. Oh! I don't buy any of this on face value. Now, did this happen? Yes. Something happened in Highland Park that caused people to be injured and shot. The same thing with Sandy Hook. The same thing with Uvalde. Same thing with Buffalo. Something happened that caused people to be deceased in these areas. But as far as whether or not it happened the way that it's being presented to us, I have questions, as I always do. So let's look at some of the footage off of here. That's the capture. I thought I had one of the actual event itself. Might be from the New York Post. Yeah, let's do that. Video reveals bursts of rapid-fire gunshots in Highland Park parade killings. From Bruce Golding. Let's listen. A chilling video clip of the Highland Park 4th of July parade massacre captured 2 bursts of rapid-fire gunshots as screaming spectators fled the scene in terror. The 32-second recording, which appears to have been shot from an apartment window along the parade route in the Chicago suburb, starts with the sound of gunfire reverberating for several seconds. After a brief pause, punctuated by shouts and screams, the shooting resumes and continues for several more seconds, following the loud wailing. The video, posted on Twitter by Breaking Forward News, also shows brightly colored folding chairs abandoned on both sides of the street and streams of people running for safety. Meanwhile, a first responder in a yellow vest races the other way towards the apparent danger. At one point, an adult picks up a little child and takes another by the hand before they hurry away. The bloodbath is believed to have been carried out with a high-powered rifle from a nearby rooftop. Let me guess, it was a AR-style rifle. Robert F. Bobby Cremo III, 22, has been identified by authorities as a person of interest in the mass shooting, all guy, which killed at least 6 people and wounded 24. Cremo was taken into custody around 7:40 p.m. local time following a brief pursuit in Lake Forest, according to local reports. There's the picture of him naming him as a Chicago rapper, and him with the tactical helmet. A lot of his social media is being scrubbed right now, too, obviously, for obvious reasons. Alright, let's look at some more here. We have eyewitness footage capturing the moment that the 22-year-old person of interest is arrested.
It's a shooter. Yeah.
By the way, I know exactly where this intersection is. When it was panned out and showed that it was 41, I recognized. It's hard to see because I never come from the left and right, the east to the west on that, but I've driven on 41 there before. I used to like to bypass the tolls, and that's the easiest way to do it, is to go down 41. I have no idea what he was doing either by the sound of that, but yeah, they got him. They got him. J.B. Pritzker had something to say, and then we'll go talk a little bit more about this. Illinois Governor Pritzker on Highland Park mass shooting. It's devastating that a celebration of America was ripped apart by our uniquely American plague. Yeah, we'll talk about this in just a moment too, but let's listen to the Fat Man.
It is devastating that a celebration of America was ripped apart by our uniquely American plague. A day dedicated to freedom has put into stark relief the one freedom we as a nation refuse to uphold, the freedom of our fellow citizens to live without the daily fear of gun violence.
That's not a freedom. I'd like to live with the freedom of not ever getting hit by a Buick, but every time I walk out that door, it's a possibility. Although a slim one, it is a possibility.
You know what I love about 4th of July? We celebrate the founding of this
Probably the food. Look at him.
wonderful nation by gathering with family and friends and enjoying parades and fireworks. Our cameras on days like this are filled with messy faces and reckless smiles and pretty sunsets, an effort to bottle up that unique feeling of sun-filled joy. That's what evil took from us today. That's what gun violence robs us of, no matter the neighborhood or the city it erupts in. If you're angry today, I'm here to tell.
Okay, well, let's have a conversation then about all of the times that this happens on South Wacker Avenue that you don't get out and make a press conference for. Or Wacker Drive, not Wacker Avenue. All the times that you get this in the loop that you don't report on.
Tell you, be angry. I'm furious. I'm furious that yet more
Don't get furious, you'll have a heart attack.
innocent lives were taken by gun violence. I'm furious that their loved ones are forever broken by what took place today. I'm furious that children and their families have been traumatized. I'm furious that this is happening in communities all across Illinois and America. I'm furious because it does not have to be this way. And yet we as a nation, well, we continue to allow this to happen. While we celebrate the 4th of July just once a year, mass shootings have become our weekly, yes, weekly American tradition. There are going to be people who say that today is not the day, that now is not the time to talk about guns.
Yes, of course. And this is always funny too. Oh, today is not the day. Well, what's going to be the day to do it then? Because we knew did you know this was coming? Because it kind of at this point sounds like you knew this was coming. You had this speech up and ready.
Guns. I'm telling you, there is no better day and no better time than right here and right now. It's the 4th of July, a day for reflection on our freedoms. Our founders carried muskets, not assault weapons. And I that you have a constitutional right to an assault weapon with a high-capacity magazine. Or that is more important than the right of the people who attended this parade today to live. Yes, I'm angry. We as a nation deserve better. Let us pray for the injured and those who are still in the hospital tonight. And may the memory of those we lost today be a blessing and a call to action.
Wow. So, bet you didn't know that I didn't listen to that before right now. What? Oh, man. Oh, JB. Oh, JB. You poor simple moron. So yes, that is J.B. Pritzker telling you that you have the right to go outside and never have to worry, which you don't. And he's ready to disarm you. Because remember, the Founding Fathers only had muskets. How dare you think that you should be able to have something on par with the military now? All right, from NBC5 out of Chicago, injuries in Highland Park 4th of July parade mass shooting rise to 38. No author given. The number of people injured in the mass shooting at the Highland Park 4th of July parade Monday has risen to 38, officials said, and details have started to emerge about those who lost their lives in the tragedy. The person suspected the shooting in the crowd of spectators during the suburban Chicago parade, killing 6 people, was taken into custody in Lake Forest on Monday evening after the nearly 8-hour manhunt and brief police pursuit. Authorities said the suspect's vehicle was located in North Chicago, and officers attempted to stop him before he fled the scene, leading police on a brief pursuit before coming to a stop. He was taken into custody without incident, police said, and taken into the Highland Park Police Department for questioning. No charges have been filed as of Tuesday morning. North Shore University Health System said Tuesday at least 38 people were taken to its hospitals, up from the 26 who were treated immediately following the shooting. 8 of those patients remained hospitalized Tuesday, 2 of them at North Shore's Highland Park Hospital, 5 at Evanston location, and 1 in its Glenbrook location. A vast majority suffered gunshot wounds, and the remaining sustained injuries as a result of ensuing chaos at the parade, North Shore Highland Park Hospital said on Monday. The shooting happened at 10:14 a.m. Central Time in the area of Central Avenue and the 2nd Street in downtown Highland Park during the city's 4th of July parade, authorities said. In separate social media videos, several gunshots could be heard, followed by a pause and another round of gunfire. Some videos, more than 50 shots can be heard. While the shelter-in-place order for Highland Park residents has been lifted, police are still urging people to avoid the city's downtown area while the investigation continues. J.B. Pritzker ran his mouth over things that he didn't understand, and as Randy says, pushed for an emotionally charged policy that should be rushed through without question. David Baum, who attended the parades, helped to treat those who were injured in the shooting. The bodies that I saw, it was not an image that anyone who's not a physician would have an easy time processing, said Baum. Boy, you should go down and work at County General, Dr. Baum. You'll see that every day. There were people who were immediately killed with horrific gunshot wounds. So, that is what we see for that. Some questions about Bobby Cremo III himself, which, as we know, we already know he's been taken into custody. But of course, we've got the who is? So, starting from the Blaze, updates authorities apprehend person of interest in deadly Highland Park mass shooting. First victim identified. Video show chaotic scene from Paul Saka. So we've got some video of this, obviously. We'll go through this. Alright, what else do we have here? Lynn Sweet, my video. I was at the Highland Park Parade. Terrified people fleeing the July 4th parade when the shooting started. Yeah, these guys had no idea what was going on because they've got all the instruments going with them. They just see people running the other way. Excuse me. Here is the press conference for this.
Our investigators have been working tirelessly on this active shooter investigation. Through law enforcement partnerships and community information and leads, a person of interest has been identified. His name is Robert Bobby E. Crimo, C-R-I-M-O III. He is 22 years of age. He is believed to be driving a 2010 silver Honda Fit vehicle, license plate, Illinois, D. David M. Mary 80653. We have numerous federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies working on apprehending this person of interest. We continue to receive tips from the public and law enforcement partners, and we are following up on every one of them. Individuals who have information to share with the police are urged to contact 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you.
Really? Under your jurisdiction, that would actually go on your end first. If you have information about this. The FBI doesn't have jurisdiction on this unless he crosses into Wisconsin, which at this point now he can't, but... the wanted poster. Man, this guy looks like a little tweaker, doesn't he? There we've got the picture with the rainbow hair. Here's another interesting side of this. Police identify person of interest in Highland Park parade shooting as Robert Bobby E. Crimo III, 22, believed to be driving a 2010 silver Honda Fit, license plate DM 80653. Instagram has already been seized, they say. Because people doing their homework have already found this was the picture, and he's got the red rose on his neck. But this is where that he said that he himself was liberal. This account has been seized by the ARDT, which means you can't go back and look at it. And go draw your own conclusions about it. Ben Bradley, this is the moment. The parade shooting suspect, Crimo, was taken into custody. Highland Park shooting suspect, Crimo, has been taken into custody at US 41 on Wesley Avenue. The family of Nicholas Toledo tells me that he was one of the people shot and killed at the Highland Park 4th of July parade. And of course, we're going to come back, run out, and start doing this emotionally charged stuff. Oh, Grandpa died! Ban all guns because Grandpa died. We're feeling pretty numb. We're all pretty broken inside, his granddaughter said. She shared these photos with CBS Chicago. Who is Robert Crimo? Says Fox News. From Tyler O'Neill. Warning, graphic images. Authorities have identified the potential person of interest in the Highland Park shooting as 22-year-old Bobby Crimo. The FBI wanted poster describes Crimo III as a thin white male with brown eyes and neck-length brown hair, weighing 120 pounds. The poster also describes his tattoos, 4 tally marks with a line through them on his right cheek, red roses and green leaves on his neck, and a cursive script above his left eyebrow. The poster describes him as armed and dangerous. Cremo is also known as Awake the Rapper. IMDb describes Cremo as a 6-foot hip-hop phenom born on September 20th, 2000. He's the middle child of 3 and of Italian descent. Excuse me. Cremo began uploading his music to the internet at the age of 11. But first gained traction with his 2016 track By the Pond featuring Atlas, according to IMDb. His estimated net worth is $100,000. Cremo is the son of Bob Cremo, the president at Bob's Pantry and Deli in Highland Park, according to Facebook account. The father ran for Highland Park mayor in 2020. The rapper released a cryptic track called Are You Awake on October 15, 2021. The track appears to suggest that Cremo is planning a life-defining act beyond his ability to stop. The video includes drawings of a man aiming a rifle at another person. The video includes an image in a newspaper about Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated President Kennedy, and another image of a victim shot with blood spraying from the body. Oh, that's archived. I can't interact with that. Like a sleepwalker, I'm unable to stop and think, he says in the track. My actions will be valiant, and my thoughts unnecessary. I know what I have to do. I know what's in it, not only for me, but for everybody else. There is no past or future, just the now, he adds. It is more abstract than I can ever imagine. I can feel the atmosphere pushing me in. It's unstoppable, like a wave pulling me under. I can't breathe without it. I need to leave now. I need to just do it. It is my destiny. Everything has led up to this, Cremo says. Nothing can stop me, not even myself. Is there such a thing as free will, or has this been planned like a cosmic recipe? It is what I've been waiting for in the back of my head, ready to be awakened. It is what I've been sent here to do, like a sleepwalker, he adds. So, and a couple things with this too, because it looks like this kid's got a mugshot. Was he even legally able to purchase a firearm? That's my big question off of this. But I can definitely say he was probably known to the FBI by this. Which is funny because it's always, known to the FBI. Let's see. Survivors speak out. This is going to be the emotionally charged part. Let's draw that back just a touch. From Ken Shelby and John Howarth. As Abby Brojo stood with her father-in-law watching the 4th of July parade in Highland Park on Monday morning, a hail of bullets began to fly from the top of a building directly across the street. Excuse me. I remember looking around to try to figure out where the sound was coming from, Brojo told Good Morning America on Tuesday morning, and I, in fact, looked up to the neighborhood business across the street and saw the shooter on the roof and just screamed that it was a shooter. She said she saw long hair and a gun as she turned to pull her 1-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son into Gearhead Outfitters, a store managed by her husband, Tony. She was grazed by a bullet, she said. Her father-in-law was shot in the leg, she said. 6 people were killed and more than 24 others were injured in Monday's mass shooting in Highland Park, a suburb north of Chicago. According to officials, police said on Monday that they took into custody 22-year-old person of interest, Robert Bobby Cremo III, in connection with the incident. Tony Brojo was inside Gearhead Outfitters as the shooting began. As parade spectators rushed to the store, looking to take cover, he helped coordinate. Video from inside the store shows crowds running inside. Some stumble, others glance behind them. We were just trying to get as many people as we possibly could inside, he told GMA on Tuesday. Like I said, it was just instinct. Both the Brojos had the feeling it could never happen to them, that they'd be in an active shooting situation, he said. As Abby and her father-in-law reached the safety of Gearhead Outfitters, she realized they'd both been hit by bullets. She said both were taken to a local hospital and later released. And that's what I have for that. So, excuse me. There are a few things that pique my interest about this. Number one is the photos, the readily available photos that show that this guy could go either way politically. Now, considering the fact that he's a Spotify rapper, which that could go either way as well, or SoundCloud rapper, I'm sorry. That could go either way as well. I know a certain SoundCloud rapper who is extremely to the right. To an extreme. Well, maybe not to the right, according to him. Maybe to him it's the correct. But regardless. But I see this guy. I see plenty of photos of him with Antifa connections, but also plenty of photos of him with the flag. From the start of this, all that I see is something that's designed to keep us at each other's throats, once again, constantly. Having the gun argument and saying that the other person is evil. And that's the first thing that I see off of this. Now, mind you, do keep in mind that I came to this 8 hours after the fact. I didn't even know about this until 8 hours after it happened, after the moron had been taken into custody, after, he's sitting there on the ground, ready to go, after all the dust is settled, and after most of the people had been turned out of the hospital. That was when I first found out about this. And I still sit here and think, okay, now they're not talking about the armament itself, which leads me to believe that it was probably not the AR-style platform that they're trying to demonize. Although there are people that are trying to talk about the AR-style platform. And he's white. That's the other side of this. And this happened again in a predominantly white area. And, I mean, I'm not going to be, it's not going to be like Alex Jones and Sandy Hook. I accept that this happened. I know full well that this actually physically happened. But did it happen as presented to us? That's where I start to have questions. And it was also pointed out, like if this had happened 20 miles further to the south, we wouldn't be hearing about this. Partially because of the skin color of the perpetrator, and partially because of the skin color of the neighborhood that this would have been happening in if this had happened 20 miles south. Part of the reason we're hearing about this is that this happened at a 4th of July parade, where almost nobody would be carrying in Illinois with the strictest gun laws among almost entirely white people. And plastered up onto the front of the news, so everybody comes back and talks about it. And with the talking point again, oh my God, he's MAGA! I have a friend of mine that's probably worked in the hospital all day yesterday dealing with this. I don't know if she works at one of the hospitals that were mentioned, but I know that she's at one of them in that area, so. I look at all this, and I have questions. I've come out of this looking at all the information that the mainstream and the missing link media has brought to us, and I have more questions. So, that's what we see off of that. Let's talk a little bit about what happened in Akron, because I know it got a little bit glossed over yesterday in the midst of talking about Bette Midler instead. Might have to go back and refresh this for the video, but I know there was video released of the shooting itself, blurred of course. No, never mind, because we're on the front page here. There we go. So, talking about Akron for just a second. Akron police released the heartbreaking footage of Jayland Walker being shot up to 60 times. And this is a live blog with live updates, but I wanted to go and grab this video here and just see some of the stuff that we're seeing here. This is the other thing, too, by the way. This just happened to happen right as BLM was getting ready to gear up and start rioting.
Shots fired, that vehicle just had a shot come out of its door. We're southbound on Route 8. Going down.
Now, as far as the shooting went, from the details that have been released to me that I've seen so far off of this, it appears that, he shot once at police officers and led them off into a high-speed chase. There have been other reports that he emptied the mag at police officers, or that he emptied the mag indiscriminately as well, but regardless. Firing while you're in the midst of a police chase. Now, they say that resisting, I have some people that are far enough to the right that say that just simple resisting is enough for you to forfeit your life. I'm not down with that. I don't believe that just just resisting is enough for you to forfeit your right to live. But shooting, whether it's indiscriminate or whether it's targeted, especially if it's indiscriminate, because, if it's targeted, at least he's going back shooting at people who agreed to put their lives on the line. Whether or not they have to by the Supreme Court, we can sit back and debate that all day. But people who are expected by the community to be able to put themselves in harm's way to go back to protect the people. But if he's just shooting indiscriminately, does he hit the Dodge on the side of the road with a little old lady in it? Does he hit the school bus going by here? Now, it's at night, so possibly not a school bus. But does he hit the school bus full of a bunch of kids? Does he hit the flower shop with Granny in it? Does he hit the stroller with young couple's 1-year-old daughter inside? If you're shooting like that out in a public area on the street, no. The police have every right to come back out and meet you with deadly force. Now, this level of deadly force, no, I think that was very much emotionally charged. The first few shots to bring him down, and possibly a couple coming from other directions because they don't know if he's still moving, center mass, that's one thing. But to turn around and lay 60 more into him after the body has gone cold, that was just a bit excessive. That was a show of power. And I don't like any of that. But he was unarmed when they shot him. They don't know that. He had just fired indiscriminately or at them prior to this chase. And they had no idea that that gun was laying out on the seat. But now they're coming back to react to this as well. Let's grab this one here quick from CBS. Let's get some music and some live chat back up here too. Let's see. Oh, this is another video. I think this is another... Is this another angle of this? Am I just stupid? Yeah, we're not going to do 7 minutes of that. Let's move on. Let's see. This is a Copenhagen one. Why the hell is that there? We're going to hold off on that too. Hold on. Because this is not what I had up here. Because I know they're going on to curfew and lockdown. Alright. Well, let's read this from the Daily Wire then. We cannot and will not tolerate violence or the destruction of property. Akron officials declare a state of emergency following riots over death of Jalen Walker. From Brandon Dre. Following protests on Sunday in Akron over the death of Jalen Walker, who police killed last week after he allegedly leading them on a chase and shooting at them, city officials on Monday canceled the 4th of July fireworks show, set a curfew, and declared a state of emergency. Early yesterday, we had several peaceful protests in the downtown footprint related to the officer-involved shooting of Jalen Walker, Akron Mayor Dan Horgan said in a statement. These protests did not escalate to violence and destruction. Horgan thanked the protesters and reiterated that he fully supports Akron residents' right to peacefully assemble, which he and other community leaders urged protesters to do since police released the video footage of Walker's death on Sunday. However, he continued, as night fell and others began to join, the protesters became no longer peaceful. Downtown Akron experienced significant property damage with rioters breaking windows on small businesses and in the city's main drag. Oh, shocker there. We cannot and will not tolerate violence or the destruction of property, Horgan said. In light of the damage that's occurred and in order to preserve peace in our community, I've declared a state of emergency, implemented a curfew, and canceled the fireworks which were scheduled for tonight. City officials issued a curfew for downtown Akron and from 9 p.m. through 6 a.m., which remains in effect until officials issue another order or lift the existing one. However, city authorities, news media, and authorized personnel are exempt from such orders. Those traveling to and from work, seeking medical care, or feeling dangerous circumstances are exempt from the city-issued emergency orders. 3 separate fireworks shows scheduled for tonight to celebrate America's 246th year of independence in downtown Akron, the Patterson Sports Complex, and the Akron Fulton Airport were all canceled tonight due to the state of emergency. The announcement comes after Horgan canceled the city's annual 4th of July RIB, White and Blue Festival, scheduled to run through the holiday weekend. The festival was set to return this year after 3 years on hiatus because of the start of the Pinko fucking Pox. Excuse me, AM radio listeners. Journalist and author Andy Ngo shared the series of video footage on Monday of Akron's riots on Twitter. But of course, Ben didn't put him in the article. Overnight, on July 3rd, violent far-left BLM rioters gathered in downtown Akron with bats and started fires, Neo wrote. They're angry about the police shooting death of Jalen Walker, an armed black man who led police on a wild car chase and shooting at them. On June 27th, Akron authorities said they pursued Walker because the car he drove was involved in a crime the previous day. After refusing to stop, speeding through a residential neighborhood and shooting at officers, Walker jumped out of the car and motioned at a barricade. Police said they fired up to 60 bullets at Walker after he jumped out of the moving vehicle and shot at the officers. Although he did not have the gun with him as he ran, Police Chief Stephen Milet said the video showed Walker reaching for something at his waist and turning as he ran, prompting police to fire, while he was probably pulling his pants back up. The Beacon Journal obtained an investigative worksheet by the medical examiner's office, which reported officers shot Walker in the face, torso, and upper legs. The report and video from the crime scene confirmed that Walker had a handgun in his silver Buick. The Akron Fraternal Order of Police said in a statement that traffic cameras had captured the muzzle flash from Walker's car, and a shell casing had been found in the same location. So yes, they're getting ready to riot. They're getting ready to burn the city down. And hey, look over here! White guy shot up a bunch of people. That is video only, but it's a short video. Let's listen. Because the families are seeking justice following the police shooting.
The deadly police shooting of a black man in Akron, Ohio. A curfew is in place tonight and fireworks have been called off after protests over the killing of Jayland Walker during a police chase. The medical examiner has found more than 60 wounds on his body. Walker was unarmed at the time that he was shot. ABC's Mola Lengi is in Akron for us.
Black lives, they matter here.
Tonight, a curfew in effect in Akron. About 50 people arrested after protests grew rowdy overnight. Authorities deploying smoke grenades into crowds.
We want justice!
Spoiling a day of peaceful demonstrations over the police shooting of Jayland Walker. Body camera video released Sunday showing Walker leading police on a nearly 6-mile chase through Akron last week. Police were attempting a traffic stop when authorities say Walker sped off, firing a shot out of the car.
21 shots fired. That vehicle just had a shot come out of its door.
Walker eventually jumping out of the vehicle in a ski mask, taking off on foot. Police attempting to tase him. Officers claiming Walker later stopped and turned towards them, prompting police to fire dozens of shots. Walker was unarmed when he was shot. Police say they later found a handgun and loaded magazine in the driver's seat of his car. Walker's cousin telling me this was out of character for the 25-year-old.
Jayland was such a sweet kid. Of all the people in the world, you wouldn't think it would happen to him.
The 8
That boy didn't do nothing.
officers who fired their weapons were placed on paid administrative leave pending an independent investigation under the Ohio Attorney General.
When they make that most critical decision to point their firearm at another human being and pull the trigger, they've got to be ready to explain why they did what they did, and they need to be held to account.
Well, they did what they did on the first trigger pull because he had already shot at them once while going on a high-speed chase, and they had no idea whether or not he would do it again. As far as the other 20 trigger pulls, yeah, that's where we got to start having the question, like, wow. That might have been a little bit excessive.
Well, tonight, the police union here insisting the, quote, lethal force, as well as the number of shots fired, were consistent with the officers' training. The union adding that they believe this investigation, Lindsay, will ultimately justify the officers' actions. Lindsay?
Those protesters making their voices heard right behind you. Mola, thank you. Turn to rising tensions over the deadly police shooting of a black man.
All right, what else do we have here? Politicians, athletes, and organizations react to the death of Jayland Walker following the release of body cam footage. From Anna Meyer. On Sunday, a joint press conference held by Akron Mayor Dan Horrigan and Police Chief Steve Milet released body cam footage from the deadly police shooting of 25-year-old Jayland Walker. Following the release of the video, politicians, athletes, and organizations from across the country made statements about the shooting. Let's see. Boys and Girls Club. We're so deeply saddened by the tragic shooting of Jayland Walker and troubled by the circumstances surrounding his death at the hands of Akron police officers. As the region's foremost youth-serving organization, we fear incidents like this one and others will once again leave lasting scars on our youth. These cases give children the impression that violence against black people is inevitable. That needs to change. It is our responsibility to help young people make sense out of the world, even when violence and injustice is rampant. Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Ohio and Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance commend the city of Akron for publicly addressing the shooting today and for its decision to cancel the 4th of July event. We also respect and concur with the two who are urging protesters to be peaceful. At the same time, we will hold Mayor Dan Horrigan and Police Chief Steve Milet accountable for their confidence that the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation will conduct a thorough and fair and honest investigation and that Akron Police will cooperate fully. Let this investigation play out and uncover the facts in this case. In the end, justice must be served for the family of Jayland Walker, the Akron community, and the children who are watching this unfold. Well, if he's shooting willy-nilly, he gave up his right to live. I said that earlier. Tim Ryan. My heart breaks for the family of Jayland Walker and the Akron community during this incredibly difficult time. The video we witnessed today leaves questions unanswered. I fully support a thorough independent investigation to understand what happened and ensure accountability. Sherrod Brown, the death of Jayland Walker is a tragedy. The Walker family and the entire Akron community deserve a thorough and transparent investigation. The Fraternal Order of Police. The incident is a tragedy for our entire community, including the family of Jayland Walker, as well as all the officers involved. Dave Yost, Attorney General. People want and deserve answers, and they shall have them. BCI will conduct a complete, fair, and expert investigation. Body cam footage is just one view of the whole picture before drawing conclusions. The full review must take place. Thank you, David Yost. LeBron James, I pray for my city today. Nina Turner, justice for Jayland Walker, enough is enough. Chantel Brown, as we await to receive the additional details provided by the BCI investigation, I echo the sentiments of the Walker family and City of Akron leaders to remain peaceful. Yeah, you're too late for that. LeBron James Family Foundation, Akron is our home, and it's our daily work to build up and bring people together in positive and peaceful ways, which is what we will support today and always. This starts with justice and accountability first and continues with love, family, and coming together to create change. Hey look, there's this high school graduation picture. Now, as far as this goes, do I wish that he would have been taken alive? Yes, because I'd love to know why he shot back, why he was shooting. Remember, dead men tell no tales. Elected officials calling on DOJ to investigate deadly police-involved shooting. From Kevin Freeman. Protesters were out in Akron today, demanding justice in the death of 25-year-old Jayland Walker. Meanwhile, a group of elected leaders in Summit County are calling on the U.S. Department of Justice. So they want Garland to come back in here and make a politically charged investigation into this. A group of demonstrators spent Friday afternoon and evening protesting in front of the Akron Police Department downtown. Because it was a public execution in our own hometown, he was just 25 doing his job. There's nothing that warranted this kind of violence, said demonstrator Christy Sotras. Well, I mean, he shot at police officers. Or indiscriminately, regardless. A bullet left the end of that gun. According to police officers, tried to pull over Walker around 12:30 a.m. They say he did not stop during a chase along Route 8, he fired a shot at them. The pursuit continued for another 5 minutes. According to police, Jayland jumped out of the car's passenger side. He turned towards the officers, and officers perceived his behavior as a threat, and the officers engaged Mr. Walker with gunfire. said Akron Police Chief Steve Milet. It's beyond de-escalating the situation, and it's uncalled for. It continues to happen here in America, and we're just going to stand for it, not going to stand for it anymore, said protester Sigurda McClelland. The organization of black elected officials of Summit County is calling for the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate the case. We believe that it rises to the level of some real civil rights issues being violated, without question, said Veronica Sims, who is the president of the organization and a Summit County councilwoman. Members of the organization offered their condolences to the family and also called for the police reform. For us, as a black community, we've seen this play out so many times that it just reopens the trauma, and this is no different, said Sims. Yeah, but again, he shot. At this point, it's return fire. Although, again, as I've said, I don't know that we'd be having this conversation if it had been a single shot. Or even a single shot from each armament. What were there, 5 officers around him? So, 5 shots, center mass. But 50 of them while he's on the ground already? No, there was no need for that. That was a display of power. And yet there's more. We're not even done yet. And I've actually got another angle queued up here I found during one of the other videos of the crowd running away. But we've got a video here. At least 2 police officers shot during the 4th of July fireworks in Philadelphia, causing crowds to flee. Let's grab this one here. This one does not have any sound. And you gotta wonder how many people get hurt in a stampede like that, too. Alright, here is a version with audio. I was hesitant to post this. And to the media, I will not be able to keep up with your messages. You have non-exclusive permission to use either video. I recorded them myself. You can DM requests if you want to upload or email, but I can't guarantee I'll get back to you quickly. Well, you put it on Twitter, so it's fair game, dude. From Fox News, Philadelphia shooting, 2 police officers injured during 4th of July celebration. From Lawrence Richards. A manhunt is underway for a suspect who shot 2 police officers at a 4th of July gathering in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Monday before fleeing the scene. Officials said the shooting took place around 10 p.m. near the Parkway Welcome America events. A Philadelphia police highway patrol officer suffered a graze to the head. The other officer was shot in the shoulder and was with the Montgomery County Bomb Unit. According to Fox 29 in Philadelphia, both officers are in stable condition. Video taken at the scene showed large police presence escorting people away from the area as fireworks continue nearby. Other videos show the crowd of at least 100 people running away from where the shooting took place. We couldn't access this tweet, so one was taken down. But it looks like we've got an Instagram. There's another angle of this, it looks like. I don't know who this person is. Apparently it's a public figure of some sort. And he likes fortune cookies in a Chinese box. But other than that, I have no idea who this person is. Regardless.
Pretty good. Penn's Landing. And then all the people with their fireworks. But at the same time, we have a police chase going on. Apparently shots fired over in Fairmount. Police helicopter was chasing somebody down that way. But now most of the cops are going toward the fireworks. Anyway, everybody's setting off their everyday fireworks. There's the police helicopters back. So they're looking for somebody while this is all going on. And the fireworks are going on over the Art Museum. More police cars headed toward the fireworks. The thing I had heard is that some car was shot up in Fairmount over around 27th and Brown. That's kind of the way they're headed. Now the chopper is over the Art Museum now. Now I see there's cops going that direction too. Some are headed that way. Then there's on Broad Street now. They're headed towards, now they're headed, looks like they're getting on the Vine. We have a ton of motorcycle cops now. There's a lot of activity headed up toward Fairmount. They're headed to Fairmount. But the fireworks continue. A lot of motorcycle cops are headed that way. Well, that would be east. Looks like they're headed to possibly the Vine, but there's more cops coming this way too. That cop's stuck. And the fireworks continue.
Kind of looks like nobody knows what's going on here. Pennsylvania Rep. Malcolm Kenyatta, who represents the 181st District, which includes northern Philadelphia, took to Twitter to urge everyone to avoid the area. We shouldn't have to live like this, family after family, community after community, forced to live with the gut-wrenching pain of gun violence, he tweeted. Kenyatta added, I'm absolutely gutted by the reports of a shooting tonight in the Philadelphia Art Museum during the July 4th concert. This is a developing story. Check back for details. We will grab just a touch out of this one. But this is a short one. And then one last update here. And then we'll get into something that's less depressing. 2 officers shot following Philadelphia fireworks show from Alexandra Swokos. 2 officers were shot at the conclusion of a 4th of July fireworks show in Philadelphia. 1 officer received a graze wound. The other officer's condition was not immediately known. They were both transferred to the Jefferson University Hospital for treatment, according to WPVI. The shooting took place in a center city on Monday night. The City Office of Emergency Management advised on Twitter to avoid the area. This marks at least the second incident of gun violence around an Independence Day celebration in the U.S., after at least 6 were killed in a shooting in a parade in Highland Park. So, that is all that, at this point, I know of for any of these. Now, I'm sure there was probably some developments that happened overnight right now, but I did gather up this news last night. But, of course, the first big question here is, how many more of these have to happen before you just surrender your rights to defend yourself? How many is enough? How many more does the government have to perpetrate until you give up your right and your ability to defend yourself? All right, and going back to another one in Philly here, an update. Man involved in South Street shooting expected in court, from Camille Jones. One of the men charged in connection to last month's mass shooting in South Street was scheduled to appear in court on Tuesday morning. Karan Garner is expected to stand before a judge before his preliminary hearing at 9 a.m. in Philly, according to court documents. Garner is charged with aggravated assault, including assaulting a police officer. Police said the mass shooting started after 3 men began to fight at 5th and South on June 4th. Shortly after the fight began, gunmen opened fire, leading to chaos on the popular, crowded Philadelphia street. Philadelphia police said 3 people, including 2 innocent bystanders, were killed, and 11 others were injured. Another man charged in the shooting, 34-year-old Rashan Bareen, is expected in court early August. The 2 teenagers charged with the murder have not had their court dates released. So, we're going to see some accountability somewhere, at least a little bit. We'll continue to watch this. All right. Let's go in a completely other direction. Come on. There it goes. All right, from the New York Post. Macy Gray tells Piers Morgan, just because you change your body parts doesn't make you a woman. Breaking at 11, Macy Gray's album sales drop to the floor. From Celine Algar. Singer Macy Gray has crashed into the transgender debate, telling Piers Morgan that being a woman requires being born with boobs and a vagina. Just because you go and change your parts doesn't make you a woman, the crooner told Morgan on his Talk TV program. The host observed that public figures often are wary of being candid on the controversial issue due to fear of backlash. Gray, 54, agreed, defining a woman as a human being with boobs. How about you just start there, she said, and have a vagina? And you know what's fun? We can listen to it.
And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact.
You feel that? The singer clarified that she backs transgender rights, but drew the line at athletic competitions. If you want me to call you a her, I will, she said, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman, or just because I call you a her, or just because you got a surgery. She also threw her support behind author J.K. Rowling, who's been criticized for her outspoken views on transgender matters. I don't think you should be called transphobic just because you don't agree, she said. There's a lot of judgment and throwing stones at people for saying what it is. You know what I mean? There's something that I have noticed about this as well. And for the most part, honestly, growing up in a very rural area, I don't know if I know anybody who has transitioned where I knew that person prior. In fact, most everybody that I know who has transitioned at one point, I met that person after the fact. And it's really easy for me to use and it's mostly going to female from the ones that I do know, but it's easy to use the she, her pronouns because I'll pick on Rachel for just a second. I've only ever met Rachel Nix, and I know Rachel's dead name too, and I'm not going to say it, but I've only ever met Rachel Nix. I've never met the person that she was before that, the man that she was before that. Never, ever. I know nothing about that person, what that person was like, what that person enjoyed, what it was like to hang out with that person. I've only ever met Rachel Nix. Now, it's arguable that it's the same person, obviously. But I've never met that person as a male, or male presenting. So it's easy just to say, oh, Rachel, oh yeah, she's awesome. I'd like to have her on the show. To use those pronouns like that. It's easy for me to do that. I don't know how I would react if somebody had gone the other way, because I don't know that I've ever been in that situation. I'll be completely honest about it. I don't know if I can even say what I would do. Kristi Noem got in the news. Governor Noem flips the script on CNN host who uses tragic story of 10-year-old rape victim to corner Noem on South Dakota's pro-life laws. From Chris Enlow, and we do have video of this as well. Kristi Noem turned the tables on Dana Bash on Sunday when the journalist attempted to corner Noem over South Dakota's pro-life laws. During a segment on State of the Union, Bash asked Noem about South Dakota's pro-life trigger laws, which are set to take effect because the Supreme Court overturned Roe. Bash invoked the story of a 10-year-old girl, the victim of child rape, who was forced to travel outside of her home state of Ohio for an abortion because the Buckeye State outlawed abortion after the Supreme Court's historic decision. Will the state of South Dakota, going forward, force a 10-year-old in that same situation to have a baby? Bash asked. But Noem, sensing the attempted ambush, flipped the script and Bash agreed with her. Let's listen.
Republican Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota, where abortion is now illegal, except in the case where the life of the mother is at risk. She is also the author of a new book, Not My First Rodeo. Governor, thank you so much for joining me this morning. This is a very new world with a lot of unanswered questions. So I want to spend some time this morning trying to understand some of the many aspects of this major shift in America. And I want to start with something that I've heard you say many, many times over the past few weeks, which is you are going to walk alongside mothers and their children after this decision. I want to ask you what that looks like. Would you support, for example, South Dakota providing paid parental leave and state-funded childcare so mothers can work and care for their children?
Well, family leave policy is something that I addressed as soon as I became governor in South Dakota. I do think it's important that we walk alongside people when they enter into a situation where maybe they have an unplanned pregnancy. And many women feel as though when they have a pregnancy that's not planned, that it's a crisis situation, and we need to do a better job of supporting them. I launched a website called life.sd.gov that makes those connections, helps with medical care, financial services, connects them to nonprofits or even adoptive parents that may choose to parent their child if that's the choice that they make.
And Governor, I went through that entire website, and I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But on the notion of family leave, do you support and will you support when the special session comes in there in South Dakota, paid family leave or greater access financially to childcare?
That's a discussion we're going to have. I think it's important that we back up exactly what I've been saying since I'm governor.
Situation, I've been following it closely. You have a pretty powerful bully pulpit. What is your position on paid family leave? Will you push for it?
Supporting, but I think in South Dakota, and it also would include about an $80 million cost to the state.
All right. We're going to transcript that because we're not going to do this entire 10-minute interview. One of the reasons I prefer the Daily Wire off this because they'll actually cue it up to where it's supposed to be. Let's see. You know what I think is incredible, Dana, in this tragic story? Because I heard about this last night, no one responded. What's incredible is that no one's talking about the pervert, horrible and deranged individual that raped a 10-year-old. What are we doing about that? What are we doing about those individuals that do this for these children? The governor added. Right, Bash responded. I agree with you. I mean, of course, that's an important discussion to have. Noem went on to predict that the incidence of child abuse will never begin to decrease unless America addresses the sick individuals that do this to our children. Right, I couldn't agree more, Bash said again. Despite agreeing with Noam, the CNN host still asked whether the 10-year-old should be forced to birth the child. Every single life is precious. This tragedy is horrific. I can't even imagine. I have never had anyone in my family or myself that's gone through anything like this. I can't even imagine, Noam responded. But in South Dakota, the law today is that abortions are illegal except to save the life of the mother. Noam said she's not okay with the young girl being pregnant, saying the story breaks my heart. I don't believe a tragic situation should be perpetuated by another tragedy, Noam said. And so there's more that we have to do to make sure that we're really living a life that says that every life is precious, especially innocent lives that have been shattered, like the 10-year-old girl. And again, I mean, the baby didn't ask for that. It didn't. All right, speaking of state laws, from the Daily Wire, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signs law that sends big-time cash to build the border wall. From Ryan Saavedra. Arizona Republican Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill into law Thursday afternoon that sends hundreds of millions of dollars to build a border wall on his state's border with Mexico, which comes amid the crisis that critics say has been unleashed by Democrat President Biden's policies. Come on. Apparently I'm not steady enough. There we go. The legislation directs $335 million in state cash to construct and maintain a border fence, purchase or install border security technologies, and pay associated admin costs, the governor's office said. The state's budget's border funding contained $209 million in funding for border-related enforcement, the Associated Press reported. That includes a new jail in Cochise County and payments for local prosecutors and transportation. It also has $45 million in emergency operations and fusion centers and $54 million in cash for local sheriff's offices. Ducey blamed Biden for the worst border crisis in over 20 years in remarks that he made on Thursday. I've been outspoken about the impact that this crisis has on Arizonans, our communities, and our migrants, Ducey said in a letter. We've taken numerous steps to resolve the chaos, including deploying Arizona National Guard, signing legislation to address human smuggling and transporting migrants on a voluntary basis to D.C. Ultimately, however, securing our border is the responsibility of the federal government. With this investment, we're giving our law enforcement and professionals and other critical resources that they need to successfully do their jobs. We are standing up for the rule of law, and we are cementing Arizona's commitment to securing our state and our entire nation. Yeah, why does the federal government have to be involved in this? Why can't the state just do this if that's what's important to them? Here's an interesting one. The US FCC commissioner wants Apple and Google to remove TikTok from their app stores. From Evelyn Cheng. And this is under a Biden FCC too, by the way. Hey, you remember when the Trump FCC was the most evil thing in the world because they're just trying to control kids because the kids said mean things about Donald Trump? This is from Evelyn Cheng. A leader of the US FCC said he had asked Apple and Google to remove TikTok from their app stores over China-related data security concerns. The wildly popular short video app is owned by Chinese company ByteDance, which faced U.S. scrutiny under President Trump. Brendan Carr, one of the FCC's commissioners, shared by a Twitter letter to Apple CEO Tim Cook and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai. The letter pointed to reports and other developments that made TikTok non-compliant with two companies' App Store policies. TikTok is not what it appears to be on the surface. It's not just an app for sharing funny videos or memes. That's the sheep's clothing, he said in a letter. At its core, TikTok functions as a sophisticated surveillance tool that harvests extensive amounts of personal and sensitive data. Alphabet, Apple, and TikTok did not immediately respond to CNBC's request for comment. Carr's letter, dated June 24th on FCC letterhead, said if the Apple and Alphabet did not remove TikTok from their app stores, they should provide statements to him by July 8th. The statement should explain the basis for your company's conclusions that the surreptitious access of private and sensitive U.S. user data by persons located in Beijing, coupled with TikTok's patterns of misleading representations and conduct, does not run afoul of any of your other App Store policies, he said. Oh, so this is the Trump nominee. I thought this was the Biden nominee. Trump nominated Carr in 2018 to a 5-year term with the FCC. The Senate confirmed in December that the commission's chair, Jessica Rosenworcel, would stay on for another 5-year term. Yeah, I don't have TikTok, number one, so I don't get it. I don't understand the less than a minute video thing. But that's because I'm providing content that sometimes lasts for, what are we on right now? 1 hour, 44 minutes. All right, another one from the Daily Wire. More on the booing. Ilhan Omar posts video from event where she was booed by Somali crowd. There's just one problem. Far-left rep Ilhan Omar posted video on Sunday to her Twitter account from an event over the weekend where she was jeered by many attendees, but the clip was only a few seconds long and cut to the widespread boos that lasted for more than a minute. Omar was booed as she stepped on stage at Soldan Searer concert at the Target Center in Minneapolis on Saturday night. It was the musician's first time performing in North America. Some in the audience told her to go home and get the F out of here. As videos of the incident went viral on social media Sunday afternoon, Omar posted 2 tweets from the event. The first tweet was a picture of her on stage with the musician. "Welcome to Minneapolis, Sultan," she wrote. The second tweet was a short video clip of her stepping on stage, to which she cut the footage right before the booing started. "It was an honor to welcome you to our incredible city," Omar wrote in that tweet.
This man deserves an award tonight. Give it up to Ilhan Omar for giving the award tonight.
No, there were some boos in there already. As Omar was introduced on stage with her husband, the adulterer, not the brother husband, the adulterer, the crowd began to boo loudly. Some other performers on the stage told the audience, "Don't do this," as they continued to boo Omar. Okay, we don't have all night," Omar said as the crowd kept booing.
Don't do this, please. No, please. Okay.
The only problem that I have with that, of course, is the fact that, she's just going to get replaced by another major leftoid. Let's talk about our friends over in Europe. Dutch farmers protest by blocking supermarket distribution centers. From Reuters, no author given. Dutch farmers, angered by the government plans that may require them to use less fertilizer and reduce livestock, began a day of protest in the Netherlands on Monday by blocking the supermarket distribution hubs in several cities. Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport and KLM, the Dutch arm of the Air France, have advised travelers to use public transportation rather than cars to reach the airports, as farmers activist groups said on social media. And they plan to use tractors to block roads. Several traffic jams were reported on highways in the east of the country and on ferry routes in the north, but none near Schiphol, near the morning commute. At the heart of the protests are targets introduced last month to reduce harmful nitrogen compounds by 2030, the latest attempt to tackle a problem that has plagued the country for years. Reductions are necessary in emissions of nitrogen oxides from farm animals and manure from the use of ammonia in fertilizer. The government says estimating a 30% reduction in the number of livestock is needed. Yeah, but that's their entire livelihood that you're taking away from them. High-intensity farming of cows, pigs, and other animals has made the Netherlands Europe's leading emitter of the substance. Construction and traffic also contribute. Dutch and European courts have ordered the Dutch government to address the problem. Farmers say they have been unfairly singled out and have criticized the government's approach. Monday's protest is widely supported by farmers groups, but not centrally organized. Well, that's good, because it's when the government comes and takes away your income, whether it be for a lockdown, whether it be for climate change, economic struggle. But the government is once again coming and taking away your ability to make a livelihood and do what you're good at. Absolutely. Come back out and protest them. Another one from my neck of the woods here. Wisconsin school district drops legal threat and use of bully tactics against activist mom. From Hannah Grossman. A Wisconsin school district has sent a cease and desist letter threatening legal action against an activist mom, dropped the issue on Tuesday. The Oconomowoc Area School District Board released a statement which said, "We consider this issue closed. Please note that our district is committed to moving forward, continuing to deliver on a high-value education for students in our community." The district added the purpose of the cease and desist letter was to advise the organization that was publishing and circulating misinformation regarding the district's curriculum and education materials. The district sent a letter to Alexandra Schweitzer, the president of a No Left Turn in Education chapter in the state, in May, and she raised concerns about the appropriateness of some curricula and materials in the schools throughout the district. The letter threatened the possibility of future litigation if she continued to make defamatory statements via meetings or her email. Her counsel, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, responded in June saying that Schweitzer will not be revoking any statement she made and accused the district of using taxpayer dollars to silence a parent. In fact, the use of outside counsel by the Oconomowoc Area School District to send threatening letters to parents who speak in good faith about their experiences with the school district is antithetical to our Constitution and to your client's obligations as public officials, the law group said in response. Yeah, it's typically not a good look when the government says, if you say bad things about you, we're going to take punitive action against you. That kind of goes against the First Amendment, typically. From ABC, Germany plans to ease rules for legal changes of gender. I should have put this up with the Macy Gray one. From Gérard Mosson of the Associated Press. The German government on Thursday presented plans to make it easier for transgender people to legally change their name and gender, ending decades-old rules that require them to get expert assessment and a court's authorization. Well, I mean, when has Germany ever been against sterilizing people with mental illness? Oops, did I say that out loud? Under the planned self-determination law, adults would be able to change their first name and legal gender at registry offices without further formalities. The existing transsexual law, which took effect in 1981, currently requires individuals to obtain assessments from two experts whose training and experience makes them sufficiently familiar with the particular problems of transsexuality, and then a court decision to change the gender on official documents. Over the years, Germany's top court has struck down other provisions that require transgender people to get divorced and sterilized. I'm sorry, but if you take the hormone treatments, you're typically already sterilized. And undergo gender transition surgery. The existing law breathes in the spirit of the 70s, Germany's Minister for Families, Lisa Paus, said. At the time, the state wanted to help people who were considered psychologically ill, and it set high hurdles for this. The current requirements are not just lengthy and expensive, they're also deeply humiliating, but above all, they're completely superfluous, Paus told reporters in Berlin. Man, would I hate to be a clerk in Berlin right about now. The proposed new rules provides for minors ages 14 and older to change their name and legal gender. With approval from parents or guardians, if they don't agree, teenagers could ask a family court to overrule them. In the case of children under 14, parents or guardians would have to make a registry and office applications on their behalf. So there you go. If you go and change your mind a year later, you can go change all your documents once again. What else do we have? The Boy Scouts marched on a Seattle Pride Parade. Yeah, I don't know how Roe has anything to do with the Pride Parade, but, do you? But at the same parade where the Boy Scouts were, fully naked man on a bicycle. Yeah, that happened. Chuck U. Schumer, had to go and weigh in on the student debt thing again because he knows that he's going to lose his ass in the midterms, even whether or not. Schumer slams fat cats who don't want to cancel student loan, from Ben Ziesloft. Yeah, me, living in a 600 square foot apartment in small town America. I'm a real fat cat, aren't I? Chuck U. Schumer. Senate Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer argued last week that student loan cancellation is not a problem that concerns the wealthy. The comment came as Democrat lawmakers continue to evaluate policies that would scrap large amounts of student debt. The Biden admin is reportedly considering a plan to cancel $10,000 in student loans per borrower, yet Schumer argued last July that all President Biden has to do is flick his pen, rather than passing legislation through Congress to erase up to $50,000 per borrower. Let's dispel one awful myth here. This is not a problem that concerns the wealthy or the Ivy League, and yet they're going to be the beneficiaries of all this. Schumer said last week, all these fat cats and people who never want to see help for working people and poor people come up with these myths. Hi, working person here with student loans. No, don't cancel them. Because I still want to be able to buy bread after this. In an interview with the Daily Wire, Cato Institute policy scholar Neil McCluskey explained that debt cancellation would be regressive, benefiting wealthy borrowers to a greater extent than those in other income brackets. Wealthier people are more likely to go to college, and in particular more likely to graduate school than lower income families, McCluskey said, noting that roughly half the student debt incurred by the 25% of borrowers seeking graduate degrees. Likewise, many debt cancellation policies fail to consider the human capital investment that student loans represent. If you estimate the amount of people who will end up earning as a result of degrees, you can see that people who take on student debt are really going to end up well off on average, McCluskey remarked. The average person with a bachelor's degree makes about $1.2 million more over their lifetime than someone with just a high school diploma. If you go to somebody with a professional degree, like a medical or law degree, they end up making about $3 million more over their lifetime than someone with just a high school diploma. It's just the fat cats that don't want to cancel student loan. Boy, I mean, I know I'm a little bit tubby right here, but still, I didn't realize that I was a Wall Street fat cat. All right, just two more here, then we'll close out today with Twitter trending. From the Blaze, National Right to Life website taken down by cyber attack. From Alex Nitzberg. Oh, we might have to go and refresh this because the tweet's not coming up. It's trying. Yep, there we go. The website for National Right to Life Committee is stopping text censorship. Is offline after apparently being targeted for a cyber attack. We apologize to those of you who attempted to reach out to our page today. We've been under constant cyber attack from those who most likely promote and profit from abortion. Truth will always prevail. The Supreme Court issued a ruling that enables the states to ban abortion, and leftists have been up in arms about the decision. Many liberal lawmakers decry the ruling as a dark day for the nation. On Monday, a Twitter account bearing the name Lorian Sinaro decreed the High Court's decisions and promised cyber attacks against pro-life organizations. The U.S. Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe is dangerous and unacceptable. The decision puts millions of American women at risk. It is the direct result of the rise of reactionary and ultra-conservative forces in all spheres of our society, the account declared. We must fight once and for good the reactionary forces and ultra-conservative organizations who aims to control women's bodies and freedom. Anonymous has always been fighting women's rights and will be once again fighting for those who have declared war. Oh, so it's the government that's doing it. The account added in another tweet, anti-choice organizations will be attacked daily to ensure they have no safe space on the internet. We want revenge on behalf of the millions of women whose lives will be impacted by the decisions of the Supreme Court. We want revenge. We want Jane's revenge. The Lorien Scenario account tweeted about the National Right to Life website going down. National Right to Life, one of the largest anti-choice organizations in the U.S., has been taken offline. This is just the beginning. We want Jane's revenge, the tweet declared on Monday. The site apparently started working again at some point, but Lorien Scenario tweeted on Tuesday it's been taken offline again now. Essentially, if you can't kill your babies, if people don't want you to kill your babies, they're not allowed to have an opinion, according to this wonderful gentleman here. And the last one, because I thought that we might all want a little bit of a laugh before we finish out here and do Twitter trending. But from the Daily Wire, aging rockers quietly crawl back to Spotify after short-lived Joe Rogan protest. And guess what? He's still there. You know how I know that? Because I listened to him talk to Gina Carano on Friday while I was driving. It wasn't just a trick of the widescreen either. Gina Carano's got a fat behind, and I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I didn't know she was 40 either. Holy crap. This is from Greg Wilson. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but not sometimes young, have ended the protests that began against Spotify 5 months ago over the streaming service's deal with podcast king Joe Rogan. The aging Harmony Rockers music returned to Spotify July 2nd, according to Billboard. They had pulled their catalog in solidarity with erstwhile member Neil Young, who was upset at Rogan's penchant for interviewing guests with different points of view on the Pinko Pox. They can have Rogan or Young, not both, Young wrote in a letter to the record company's parents, Warner Records. That prompted Crosby, Stills, and Nash, who recorded albums as a trio, along with Young as a fourth member, to join the effort. We support Neil. We agree with him that there's a dangerous disinformation being aired on Spotify's Joe Rogan podcast, the trio said in February. While we always value alternate points of view, we knowingly spreading disinformation during this global pandemic has deadly consequences. Until real action is taken to show that a concern for humanity must be balanced with commerce, we don't want our music or the music we made together to be on the same platform. But Rogan's still on Spotify, now moldering Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Hits like Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, Our House, Teach Your Children are back too. Good, I like that song. A source told Billboard the band will donate proceeds from streams of its music to Pinko Pox charities for at least a month, before putting it right back into their own pockets. Young's solo music remains off the Swedish company's streaming service. Ha! Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. How'd that go for you, David Crosby? Had to go better than porking Melissa Etheridge. Alright, let's do Twitter trending and head out of here for the day. Alright, so the official trending, let's get this over here. As we always finish out on a Tuesday doing, we look at the Twitter trending and look and see what it is that Twitter wants us to be doing here. We skip Tuesday 5 and we look at the top 5 trends. Number 1 is Tuesday 5. We'll skip that one. Number 2 is Djokovic. Jannik Sinner takes a 2-set lead over Novak Djokovic in Wimbledon quarterfinal. Follow the action here. Everyone, there's no way Sinner can take a set off Djokovic. Jannik Sinner. I don't get the reference here. Year-old Jannik Sinner comes back from 1-4 to take the first set against Novak Djokovic 7-5. Sinner hitting the ball very well, but the champ looks unusually very out of balance, missing a lot and not serving great. I'm not going to lie, I haven't played tennis since high school, and I've never seen Wimbledon in my life. TJ Warren. Some basketball news for you guys who like basketball. Free agent TJ Warren has agreed to a deal with the Brooklyn Nets, sources tell The Atlantic. Is TJ Warren the rebuild some depth on the cheap for contender piece, or is TJ Warren that we've started to rehab your value diamond processing signing? Nets did still have their taxpayer MLE available to offer, but this could also be a veteran minimum deal. So apparently Brooklyn is taking on TJ Warren. I have no idea if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Alright. The third one we'll do is a wise man once said. Hey, I'm not going back to work today. I'm here. But I knew that I'd be wiped out from that drive. Alright. A wise man once said, you should think for yourself sometime, not just search the internet. With a cat on the keyboard. A wise man can play the part of a clown, but a clown can't play the part of a wise man, said Malcolm X. He who sings like no one is listening shall have a large audience indeed, a wise man once said. Of course, the Trumpers had to come out here. A wise man once said, once a crook, always a crook. By using an Occupy Democrats' wall of text meme. A wise man once said, voting against a woman's right to make decisions about her own body because it was none of his business. Or, I'm sorry, he said nothing against a woman's right because it's none of his business. Until she went and killed his kids. There's some funny ones at the end. I mean, so many serious ones, and now we got some funny ones. A wise man once said, mess with the crabbo, get the stabbo. A wise man once said, find another way. Wiener Cutoff Road. You don't want to go down that road. Alright, what else do we have? So the fourth one for us, the fifth one for trending, but the fourth one for us is Macy Gray, which we talked about earlier. Macy Gray drew criticism for her remarks to Piers Morgan about the trans community. Everyone's gonna hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman. Bette Midler and Macy Gray aren't receiving pushback because they said something hateful or inaccurate. They're being demonized as heretics for rejecting the dogmas of the new religion. This is how blasphemy law works in the digital era. I guess I didn't realize Bette Midler got into this too. Apparently, millennial trans women don't need J.K. Rowling, Bette Midler, and Macy Gray as childhood female heroes anyway. Not when Beyonce, J-Lo, Whoopi, Kylie Minogue, Oprah, Goldie Hawn, Jane Fonda, Angelina Jolie, and more all said trans rights with their whole chests. Okay, well, enjoy. And the last one, 2K11. NBA 2K23 Michael Jordan Edition will feature his airness, along with a rebuilt version of the beloved Jordan challenges from NBA 2K11, featuring 15 iconic moments from his career. Is Michael Jordan still alive, by the way? There's 80s MJ versus 90s MJ. Do they not have somebody they can put up now, a big star for this? Do they have to go back to somebody that was on every basketball player's wall in the 80s and 90s? I don't know, but if you like the 2K series, which I did until all the sports started getting super woke, you can go and it's time for you to go pre-order it. NBA 2K23 featuring Michael Jordan. Probably saying something super woke. So that's what we have going on for that. And we're done, because that is one that was left over. That was, I don't know what's going on with that article. That was supposed to be people demanding justice for what happened in Akron. But that wasn't what was there. It wasn't a video about the Copenhagen protests. But we're done, I think. Yeah? Done? 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 Okay, let's get out of here. So, thanks everybody who came by and chatted and hung out in the live chat here today. That was awesome. This is a good trip back, and yeah, I mean, I think I do need to go back to bed right about now, but definitely feeling very, very, very refreshed after the weekend. That was awesome, and just that Sunday of not doing anything, that was amazing. I felt that. Thank you, KTZed, Salt by Brit, and Stephen Ignoramus for coming in and babysitting the show yesterday, and maybe taking it in a different direction than I would have thought, but still, nonetheless, making sure that I could get onto the road and get back here safe. And yeah, it was definitely an awesome time. I definitely need to do that more often, or at least still have days where I, actually wind down and have a low-key day instead of just constantly being on the go. So thank you guys for that. Thanks, guys, for everybody who was awesome to KTZed and Tweets by Brit, and or Salt by Brit, rather, and Stephen Ignoramus yesterday. Thank you very much to everybody who was awesome to all those people. We'll be back here tomorrow talking about more stuff. Probably talking more about what happened in Highland Park and the narrative that they want you to believe. Probably more about what happened in Philly, honestly. We'll probably hear more about the riots coming out of Akron as well. So come back and join us here tomorrow for more contemporary. We'll see you next time. Stick around if you're on Twitch. We're going rating, and we will take care. We will see you tomorrow. And until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.